My name is Robert Hayes, and I'm 73 years old. These days, I spend most of my mornings sitting on a wooden bench outside my small house, drinking coffee and watching the sun climb slowly over the hills. Retirement is quiet, sometimes too quiet. But when I close my eyes, I can still hear the sounds of the city that filled most of my life. The clanging of steel, the rumble of trucks, the echo of hammers against concrete. I spent 45 years working construction in Los Angeles, and if there's one thing I've learned, it's that a city isn't just built with cranes and machines. It's built with people, sweat, and stories. I first arrived in Los Angeles when I was 19. I didn't have much, a backpack, a few dollars in my pocket, and a stubborn belief that I could build a better life. The city was enormous compared to the small town I grew up in. The traffic never seemed to stop. The air smelled like hot asphalt and ocean wind, and everywhere you looked, there were buildings going up. My first job was simple, carrying bricks and mixing cement at a construction site downtown. It was hard work, the kind of work that makes your hands bleed and your back ache before noon. I remember my first day clearly. The sun was blazing, and the foreman shouted orders like a drill sergeant. By the end of the day, I thought about quitting. But then I looked up at the skeleton of the building we were raising, steel beams stretching into the sky, and I felt something strange. Pride. I was helping build something that would stand long after I was gone. Years passed, and the city kept growing. So did I. I learned how to pour foundations, lay bricks, install steel frameworks, and operate heavy machinery. Construction workers have a language of their own. Hand signals, quick jokes shouted over the noise, and the quiet understanding that everyone's safety depends on everyone else doing their job right. Some days were ordinary, others were unforgettable. I remember one project in the late 1980s when we were building a tall office tower. The wind up there was so strong, it felt like it could push you right off the edge. One afternoon, a sudden gust knocked over a stack of metal pipes. One of my coworkers nearly fell when he tried to stop them from rolling. Without thinking, I grabbed his jacket and pulled him back. We both sat down on the steel beam afterward, breathing hard and laughing nervously. That's when I realized something important. Construction workers trust each other with their lives. But the job wasn't just danger and hard work. It was also friendship. Every morning we gathered around a small, portable table near the site. Someone always brought donuts, someone else had terrible coffee, and we talked about everything: sports, family, the weather, the latest rumors about new projects in the city. Those men became like brothers to me. Over the decades, I worked on apartment buildings, shopping centers, schools, and bridges. Sometimes, when I drive through Los Angeles today, I point at a building and tell my grandson, "See that one? I helped build it." He usually just smiles, but for me, it means the world. One of my favorite memories happened during the construction of a hospital. It was a huge project that lasted nearly 3 years. One afternoon, a little boy and his mother stood outside the fence watching us work. The boy waved every day when he walked past on the way home from school. Eventually, we started waving back. On the last day of construction, when we finished the building, he came by again and shouted, "Thank you for building the hospital." That moment stayed with me. It reminded me that buildings aren't just structures, they're places where life happens. By the time I turned 65, my body had begun to slow down. My knees ached in the mornings, and my hands carried the scars of decades of work. When I finally retired, the foreman shook my hand and said, "You helped build half this city, Robert." Of course, that was an exaggeration. But sometimes when I walk through the streets of Los Angeles and look up at the skyline glowing in the sunset, I feel a quiet satisfaction. Because somewhere in those walls, in the steel and the concrete, there's a small piece of my life.